Georgia O'Keeffe was a badassador of the highest degree.
On this knife, I might fall off on either side, but I'll walk it again. So what? What if you do fall off?
Hello, everybody. Welcome, the weekly deep dive into my chaotic ramblings. And today we're going to talk about the post making mountains out of soul hills. Ain't no mountain high enough. See what I did there? It's mole hill. Hey, I try. I really do try. And I know that's sometimes trying, but that's funny because try
it, you'll like it,
is actually tied back to this week's post. The post this week was largely inspired by the painter Georgia O'Keeffe.
That's my chow and my cane. We're standing out there looking at the future.
And specifically a TikTok. Yeah, I'm that young and hip.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Well, I look at things. It was a TikTok that had an excerpt from a video where she's talking about...
The cliff's over there. You look at it and it's almost painted for you, you think, until you try.
And that set off the whole domino effect of my brain tripping into overdrive with this idea of until you try, this idea of, well, I took it in the direction of mountains, not cliffs. The until you try motif.
There is no try.
Let's not Yodify this. Let's just pretend that Yoda does not exist.
Judge me by my size, do you?
Because there's lots of people that disagree with the idea of try. There is try. There is always try. What would Yoda know? He's a puppet. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about our friend Georgia O'Keeffe. Because landscapes were kind of her jam. I mean, there were other things that were her jam, and we'll talk about that too, because this is like part educational, and I'm learning too. We're all learning together. But anyway, landscapes, or the land, specifically New Mexico, was really something that spoke to her. And this is about observation and perception and how things speak to you and how you interpret what they're saying and express that through your work. Here's a couple of fun facts. She was the first female artist to ever have a show at the MoMA. In her lifetime, I think I read that she had made something like 900 paintings. They're running up that road, they're running up that hill, they're running up that building. So no slouch, whip 'em out. She was prolific, let's just be honest. She was kind of at the forefront of American modernism, a genuine pioneer in the field.
That was at the time that the men were all talking about the great American novel, the great American play, the great American... Oh, it was the great American everything. And I thought they didn't know anything about America. A lot of them had never been across the Hudson.
I love her. Bucking against the trends of the time. Another one of those people. I really dig her. She was born on November 15th, 1887 in Wisconsin. Another fun fact. Just 84 years later, someone else was born on November 15th. Me. I'm talking about me.
Baby.
You know what else I hope we share? Longevity. She lived till she was 98 years old. One thing I hope we don't have in common is that in, I think, 76 or so, she started to have some eyesight deterioration, which as a painter, I'm thinking, sucks a lot. Now, her favourite subjects were, in no particular order, flowers, landscapes, and I think you would have to say bones. And sometimes all three at once.
I had to get them first.
Some people found her paintings of flowers to be quite erotic. Now me, being a total prude, I am shocked. Shocked, I tell you. How rude.
Didn't some people find sexual symbolism in your flowers?
Well, they were talking about themselves, not about me.
I'm going to read you a quote now off this piece of paper. And I think this one's relevant in the sense of like how you see something and how I see something and how she sees something, and the interpretation of what we each see is just different. I don't know why I'm being so aggressive with how I'm talking right now. Well, I made you take time to look at what I saw. And when you took time to really notice my flower, you hung all your own associations with flowers on my flower, and you write about my flower as if I think and see what you think and see of the flower. And I don't. Oh my God, she's so sassy. Shocked, absolutely just appalled at the flowers, and close-up images of the flowers and orchids and stuff. Art's so scandalous. But we're not here to talk about flowers. So sassy. She spent a lot of time in New Mexico. She loved the desert.
Have you climbed over these
Oh,
hills?
certainly. Wouldn't you climb if you were here?
Adored it. Something about the colours, something about just the barren nature of it. And she called that the far away. She loved being left alone. It's probably why I like her so much, you know. She did not want to be bothered when she was making stuff. She just wanted to be like left alone in the silence to make stuff, and that's what she did. That's what she did. I respect that so much. Let's shift sideways, okay?
Give it a try.
That's a little backgrounder on Georgia. Let's get to the post.
Pretty.
Like I said, it was the until you try thing that really was the impetus that set off this week's post. And it is, in a sense, about observation and interpretation of how we see things. I wrote this line that no two mountains are one mountain. Let's say you and I are looking at a mountain, which is essentially two mountains, because you're looking at the mountain, I'm looking at the mountain. But our perceptions of that mountain are very different. So no two mountains are one mountain. It's not the same mountain. And now I'm speaking in riddles. Riddler!
I thought someone could tell me how to paint a landscape, but I never found that person. I had to just settle down and try. They could tell you how they painted their landscape, but they couldn't tell me to paint mine.
I think one of the bigger points that I probably failed to make, now that I think about it, is that when you start out, you're a bit of a mimic. Like, you're always trying to replicate either things exactly as they are when you see them, or in a way that someone else does them. Like, you're duplicating their process or their style or their view. And that's with painting, with writing, with whatever. Like, you mimic in order to figure out who you are. And it's like, you know, the artistic equivalent of like looking at someone else's test paper. But really what you want to be doing is not looking at what someone else is doing in their interpretation of that landscape or of that scene or of that thing that you're trying to express your feelings toward, and letting it speak to you in a way that allows you to uncover your own style. That's probably the bigger point that I'm making. Does that make sense? Like, what is style? Style is essentially the levers that you pull to express your interpretation of a subject, a theme, whatever. Whatever your materials are kind of irrelevant. It's your own fingerprints on the work that make it your style. So if you're just replicating someone else's style, then you don't know who you are. So it's a mix of finding out what you're trying to say and doing it for yourself, not to make other people happy, not to be like everybody else, but to find your own form of expression. So I'm saying, accept the mountain, interact with the mountain, bond with the mountain, be the mountain. And then express it how you express it, knowing and accepting that it's not going to be a carbon copy of the mountain. It's not going to be the same view that someone else has of the mountain. And if you don't try, then you'll never find out how your expression relates to mountains. I am talking a little bit of gibberish today because I think I climbed a mountain and there was a lot of altitude. High altitude really does mess with your brain. But then I also took it in the direction of this metaphor of the mountain, of how, not just as an artist, but in life, you know, the mountain is representative of something that you've got to climb. The metaphor of mountains as they relate to the pursuit of artistic endeavours. Yeah? Everything's a metaphor. For what? I don't know. How are you interpreting this mountain? I'm just putting it in front of you. I got no responsibility here for how you're interpreting the mountain. It can seem daunting.
Once upon a time, at the foot of a great mountain,
You're at the base of it, looking up. You don't know what's up there, the creatures, the features, the dangers, the perils. You know that there's something at the top. And the act of figuring out your relationship to the mountain and how you're going to negotiate with the mountain and listen to the mountain, you know what's at the top. You instinctively know what's at the top. Is the view at the top of the mountain, looking at everything around you, any better than being at the bottom of the mountain looking up at the mountain, which is just as impressive? Would you not agree? Viewing from far away can give you perspective. There's just so many perspectives on mountains and hills and peaks and summits. What am I talking about? Who knows? Mountains, though. Pretty cool. I don't know. I think the post made more sense than this video does. Maybe you should go read that. Go make a mountain out of a Soul Hill. I dare you.
You get up, you get down, and you try to go.
In the meantime, you should hip yourself to some Georgia O'Keeffe, because she is rad. People still say rad? Excerpts throughout this from a 1-hour documentary called Georgia O'Keeffe, Portrait of an Artist, which is exceptional. I recommend you watch it. And I'm going to stop whipping the bones of Georgia O'Keeffe's landscape, because she collected a lot of bones. She had a bucket of bones.
Because there were no flowers, I began picking up bones.
She's so awesome.
Well, I wanted to take something home. I wanted to take something home to work on.
You should watch that thing. It's 1 hour out of your life. I will see you next week. You know, it'd be great. You should leave a comment.
Yes, we can know the truth without a doubt if we try.
Look at that. It's like full nuke on the horizon. Shouldn't joke about that. Georgia O'Keeffe, am I right? Now, there's some artists, I like their work. I'm not huge fans of who they are as people, but Georgia, she's the real deal. And one day when I go to Santa Fe, I'm totally going to go see her museum, and it'll be rad, and you'll all be jealous. But in the meantime, don't be jealous. Don't miss an episode. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't know why I'm pointing. I'm pointing because you can listen to me read the story about mountains to you. Here, she said confidently. Hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you next week, I guess. Check out Georgia O'Keeffe. She's a badass adore. Bye.